In this video I'm going to expand upon the previous one where I provided a Webserver website template source code for you. What I've done now is complete a number of the pages with examples, so it's the same basic structure as you may have seen before. I haven't changed the names, but you can change these yourselves here. Notice how that gets highlighted. That's all part of the HTML setup. But if I go to page 1, I can either go to page 1 like that or like that, and I'll show you how that's done in the source code in a while. But in page 1, here's an example of an HTML table, and it's got a class style guide attached to it, so you can easily change the background colors, the font color, etc. Makes it very easy to change the characteristics of the web page. In page 2 is the same table with a different style applied to it. Page 3, that's demonstrating how to embed images from another web source, so in this case they're coming from the Weather Underground. Page 4 is a much more, if you like, interesting but a different technique, and these are HTML5 embedded icons, so they're embedded into the source code. You don't need an external source, any storage other than the flash memory of the ESP8266. And I've just used weather icons as examples. They could be any image you like, so and I've just set them to 125 by 125 pixels. I think that was the size I set. Page 5 is an example of various HTML coding commands, techniques, part of the language, headers, medium text, large text, small text, links to another web page, email, to start an email to another person or company there, bold and italics, and then page 8, that's the only thing that changes. If I go to page 9, you notice how quick it is. The input field one, and there is an anomaly in the compiler in that unless this page here, what I've called setup or the root page, if it's not the first page the web server serves, the input fields don't work. That's not my fault, that's a problem with the compiler. So it's an issue or a fault or a feature of the compiler. But it's not much of an overhead because you simply click to the home page, and so if you want to use inputs, that's how you do it. Just recall that you can change all of these values here to anything you like. So I'll quickly go through just to give you an indication of speed, and I think you'll find that's very, very quick. So I didn't cover page 6, which is a fairly detailed description of how to use the Wi-Fi manager, step-by-step stages of what to do and how to connect your ESP8266. When you've been through this process, you don't need to enter your SSID and password again for that particular chip, that particular ESP8266. So I will just talk through that actually. So stage 1 is to include this command here in your source code. Include the library. You have to include the Wi-Fi manager. These two lines here have to be included. So if you had a new sketch, include those two highlighted lines. Include the command Wi-Fi manager reset settings if it's a new device. Compile and upload the code, and then look at your, in Windows you'd hover your mouse over the Wi-Fi symbol and look for what's called an access point with a name here. You can set that name, but that's the name that appears in the list of available access points. You disconnect your PC from your current access point. So if my router is a Sky router, I disconnect that and I'd connect to this access point. The moment you do, it launches a web browser. You follow the instructions, it searches all of the available Wi-Fi networks, and you say connect to the one you've chosen, enter the password, and then it will disconnect, and that's the task done. And if you want to use the service again, all you need to do is include in any new sketch, include those two lines there, and then all of these, that small section of commands there, and nothing more, and it will automatically connect to the Wi-Fi network for you. But if you read that slowly and carefully, methodically, because I documented it as I went through the process, it should work for you. Back to the home page. You see example 4 is I've provided examples of how you use HTML5 embedded images. Now to do that, you need to encode your images and then embody the provided HTML code into your source code. So I've provided a link here, so I open that in a new tab, and this is the only, there's many around, but if I click here and say I'd like to embed that image there for the sake of argument, there it is, and here's the code, here's the HTML code. Just select all of that code. Now the higher the resolution, the larger the file that you have to select. In fact, easy way is just to go Control A and copy. So that's got your HTML code ready to embody for your image in your source code. Go to the source code. Now carry on the theme of HTML5 embedded images. You call each one just by a function, but if I scroll down to an example, so here's an example of an HTML5 embedded image. So all I've done is, from this point here, the image source is from here down to here, is paste in that new image. Set your image sizes accordingly, and then that's it. You call it with the word, with the command clear, and that will append web page equals what it is plus this new line. Line by line it will get added in. So I'll just go through that again. So go to that base 64 encoder web page, paste in or select your image for encoding, select the data, and then paste it into here. So this line here should remain, and that part there should remain. So the examples I've done, they're done for you, so you can, there's a couple of weather images, so there's quite a few actually. When you've done that, go back up to where you want to use them, embed the command here, which is repeating these commands but in a short form. So there it is, and that will draw those images when it comes to providing the HTML to the server. So from the top, This is exactly the same template, and I've included examples of how you call a command within the web server, or if you put in a full address here, you could call another website. So instead of that command, you could put in a HTTP :/google.com or something like that. This is an example of a table. I find it useful to maintain the structure of the HTML so you don't lose track. There's that other table. Here's how you include images in your HTML. There's the HTML school online where you can learn all about that. This one here is the examples of HTML, different headings, different links, carriage return, etc. This one here is all the instructions for the Wi-Fi manager, and so on. Well, I hope you enjoy it. It's a general purpose web server website that I've provided as many examples as I can of tables, images, HTML5 embedded images, and general HTML text. Enjoy.